Hello again and welcome back to my mini-series of my jumpers to follow for the 23-24 season. We're back with episode 2. Now, obviously following on from episode 1, which I thought was quite good. It's got some decent views on there, so thank you for everyone that's tuned in to watch that. And hopefully there'll be some good horses for the trackers for the new season to come. So we're going to crack on straight away with episode 2. Obviously, my book is still out there, still available for anyone who wants to donate. We've had plenty of donations so far after only a week. So thank you again to everyone who's donated so far. All money is going to go towards Hull for Heroes, a veterans charity that do so much good work for veterans acclimatising back into civilian life. So thank you everyone who's donated so far. And anyone who wants to get that, just make sure you drop me a DM on Twitter or a message on YouTube, whichever is great. Right, so obviously, a few little kinks in the first episode, but we're going to roll on with them. They were, I'm sure a few people had a bit of a laugh at me calling him a mare, he, half of the time and things like that. But we'll try and iron out those kinks as we go. And like I say, I'm just going to enjoy putting these videos out there. So fingers crossed we can go again with this one. So the next one, episode 2. Again, I'm going to go through my novice hurdlers, a couple of novice chasers, and then finish with some point-to-point recruits. And then later on down in the series, I'll be looking at the open graded race and things like that. So, without further ado, let's crack straight on. So, the first horse in this section is going to be Ballyburn. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be touting this fella to be up there at the top table throughout the whole season. I think he's pretty much favourite for the Ballymore currently, and I think maybe even for the Supremes up there with the Dream to Share. But I do think he's more of a Ballymore horse myself. Obviously, Ron Bartlett's got this one. He just looks top class. It was an 80k purchase after a very impressive point-to-point. If you go back and watch that, he made a bit of a mistake and still managed to get up convincingly. And he's obviously come out in a bumper at Punchestown and won that well first time out, beating the likes of Quantum Storm, who was a well-touted one for Gordon Elliott, and Irish Panther was in behind him as well. So we all know he had a bit of a reputation to him, with some good form. And he just looked slick. He obviously stayed on really strongly. Looks a little bit keen, looks a little bit outpaced, but the way he won going away was pretty decent. He obviously skipped Cheltenham. I know a lot of people were touting him for the champion bumper, but Willie decided to keep him at home, and there was the whole Willie's got his best bumper horse at home type thing going on. So it was quite interesting to see him skip the bumper and save this lad. But he obviously came to the Punchestown Festival and again won impressively there, and just won going away by about 6 lengths, I think it was in the end. But he just looks an exceptionally talented animal. And I do think the Ballymore type will obviously go over hurdles. And I'm really excited to see this one and see what he can achieve at the top of the division, because I do think he'll be up there. And there's going to have to be quite a few exceptional horses to get up towards this lad, because at the moment he's definitely got his fair spot at the top. Fantastic. So that's number 1, Ballyburn. Really like him. So the next one then is going to be Slade Steel. I quite like this guy. Obviously, if I'm going to give Ballyburn a mention, I'm definitely going to give Slade Steel a mention for Robco. Henry de Bonred's got this lad. His form shows 2-1-3 now. It was a solid point-to-point performer. He did win his latest point-to-point before he got moved over to Henry de Bonred's yard. And the form of his first bumper that he won is quite strong. And if you go back and watch that, he beat the likes of Captain Cody, Blizzard of Oz, which was a well-titled one again for Mullins, but he put those two away quite cosily, I thought. And he sort of come from the rear, raced wide, and put them away with ease in the end. And I just thought it was a really nice performance, especially on debut. And then his last run, he was third in behind Ballyburn. Now, I do think he can mark this run up. I think he's out the back, held up, and he did the best of the rest from the back sort of thing. He travelled into it quite strongly. And I just think he could maybe mark it up a little bit. I don't think he looks more of a staying type. So I do think if it wasn't going to be the Ballymore, it could be again an Albert Bartlett type. I know they've got a couple of nice ones of Robco for this new season coming into especially the novice hurdle division. If you go through the horses they've got, but again, I think if you like Ballyburn, I definitely think you have to like Slade Steel, and I think he could be another one that's maybe goes under the radar because he hasn't won all of his races like the likes of Ballyburn. I do think he could maybe sneak under the radar a touch. And I quite like Slade Steel. And I think Henry de Bromhead's going to bring this one along really nice. Lovely. So that's my first 2. Coming over to the UK now, I'm going to go with a horse called In the Waterside. Now, this is a horse that's been purchased by the McNeil family. And he's going to go into training with Paul Nicholls. And I really like this horse. He won an Exeter bumper on debut. If you go back again, watch that run, he looked very green, looked quite wandering around a little bit, just like he was learning his trade still, and he found so much for pressure and won going away in the end. And I do like it when they win like that after looking so green. I really like that, and I like the look of how they might improve on from that. And I was given a 2-month break after that, and they brought him out again against a stablemate actually called Wrapped Up in May, who obviously had been an impressive winner the previous time. Now, if you go back into it, I don't think the ground quite suited Wrapped Up in May, but the way that in the waterside just seemed to improve massively from that first run. And again, he did look a little bit green, a little bit quirky, but he's just galloped him into submission and won going away and won really comfortably in the end. And I'm just really excited to see where this guy could go. I've put Supreme Ballymore there, but obviously not all of these horses are gonna go and win at the Cheltenham Festival. And I do want to try and make it not all about the Cheltenham Festival this series. I'm trying to find horses in and around that are going to win races between now and Cheltenham, because obviously we know Cheltenham's the be-all and end-all half the time, but it's nice to get winners on the board as you go along. And I just think, like I say, the ground didn't suit the favourite, but this guy just looks a big, imposing type, and I think over hurdles he's going to be really good. Those sort of stiff galloping tracks, I think, are going to suit this guy down to the ground. And I think Nichols has got a really nice one here, to be honest, and that's in the water side. I'm gonna go big on Nichols this year. I think I've looked through some of his purchases and some of the horses he's got. He's got really quite a few nice types this season. So I think once again he's probably going to dominate the UK races, as he always do, him and Endo. But we shall see. Right, so I've got one more novice hurdler to go through in this section, and it's going to be Fact to File. Now, Fact to File, again, JP McManus owned, Willie Mullins trained. Now, if you look there, his form reads 1-2-2. Now, obviously, you're thinking, right, he's not won a couple of races, but yeah, the races that he's been running in have been the top level. It was a smart point-to-point winner, and he won his debut bumper at Leopardstown. And he put Irish Panther away, same, so that sort of ties in with Ballyburn's form, and he put him away with ease again. Did Fact to File. That was over 2 mile 4 furlong. And he dropped down to 2 mile for the Dublin Racing Festival. And again, it does say second there, but the first place was a dream to share. Now, obviously, you know how much I love a dream to share, so I'm really excited for that, for a dream to share for the coming season. So I definitely have to be excited about Fact to File, because if it weren't for a dream to share, this guy would be 1-1-1 in the form book, and he would have some big races to his name. And, he's not like he's been beaten a mile. He's always got quite close to a dream to share. So I do think these two are going to be pretty good horses going forward. And obviously, moving on to the last race there was the Champion Bumper. And again, he's second behind a dream to share. And although he's just sort of pipped in, I do think this guy, get him over the trip, back up to 2 mile 4, I think over the hurdles, I do think we're going to see a lot more improvement from this one. And obviously there's that question mark behind a dream to share over hurdles, but I do think this guy's going to have it all over hurdles. I think he's going to be up there as well, and I think JP's got a good one here. And I do think the sort of intermediate trip, so you're looking at probably a Ballymore type, definitely going forward for Mullins. But you know what Mullins bingo's like, it could go either way. But yeah, definitely another novice hurdler I'm looking forward to this coming season. Lovely. So then my 4 novice hurdlers for this section. I'm going to do 3 novice chasers, and then I'm going to give you 2 little point-to-point nuggets at the end. I might have to look at my notes for them, though, because I always like to write a lot about the point-to-point recruits. But yeah. So, yes, without further ado, the novice chasers for this section, and I am going to go to the one and only Marine Nationale. Now, obviously, we all know about Marine Nationale. Barry Connell's never been shy about this horse. We know how good he is, and he's just not put a single foot wrong in his entire career. And his form book shows that, you go through his form and he's beating everything in his way, basically. He won that really good race over in Ireland, beating the likes of Irish Point and things like that. And obviously he put him away, and we were all a bit, well, he won his maiden at Punchestown, obviously the race before Fairhouse, before being put away over Christmas. And then giving that long break off before Cheltenham, obviously we were all a little bit like that. That's a little bit shady. Will he be able to do that? Not many horses come off a break of over 100 days and come into the festival and still manage to win. But this guy is just exceptional. He's quick. He's fast over his hurdles. And he put Facile Vega away quite convincingly. I know Facile Vega made that little bit of an error towards the end, but this guy was long gone by that point, and I just think he's going to continue to improve. Barry Collins obviously mentioned that he's going to go chasing. That's probably to to stay away from Constitution Hill, no doubt. I don't think he'd maybe... I mean, I would fancy him against Constitution Hill. I think a Champion Hill with these two in would be an exceptional race. But obviously, Connell seems to have made the decision to go chasing. I think there's not many in the Arkle market currently that I think are going to get close to this guy if he jumps the fence. Now, obviously, it's a massive if. It's a similar... I'll go back to a dream to share, but you're not too sure if his sort of family is going to be able to produce a top-level hurdler. You know, if you go through the pedigree of Marine Nationale, no, I think he's flat-bred, and I don't... You know, he's not necessarily going to take to fences, but I certainly think if he does, something's going to have to be in a real... on that day, top-level horse to beat this guy. And I think he does deserve his place at the top of the Arkle market. And I'm really excited to see how Marine Nationale gets on this coming season. I know he'll probably have a couple of short-priced wins and a few spins around in Ireland, but he's just really exciting. And I hope he gets there in one piece, and fingers crossed he can potentially go and win. But it's good to have that sort of name in the Arkle, and hopefully there'll be a few more across the season that get added to the Arkle, and it ends up being a really good race, because I think there's quite a few top-level, really exciting novice or sort of novice hurdlers who are deciding to go chasing. So it could be a really good division this season. So I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, that's my take on Marine Nationale. Lovely. All right. Next one, I'm going to go back to Paul Nicholls again. I like Timoris for the No Feeling Racing Syndicate. They've obviously got some nice horses. The likes of Love Envoy. Did really well back against Honeysuckle. So I think Timoris is one to keep an eye on this season, definitely. We know Nicholls likes this one. He's made no bones about it. And you know, if you go back through his form, he won a Chepstow. When he's made it at Chepstow and then stepped up to listed level at Haydock and just looked at a class above the fields those 2 days. And yeah, and you know, he deserved his spot in the Tolworth 100%. And I know the ground come up sort of on the softer side and made it a bit more of a stamina test. And I think that just played into his strengths perfectly. And he made it an unbeaten 3 from 3 with an impressive performance, in my opinion. And obviously, again, it does look a staying chaser in the making. Obviously, it's the old saying, but I think with Nicholls, you do get these types who do go on to be much better over fences. And obviously, he took his chance in the Supreme, but I just think the Supreme was a little bit too quick for him for the level. For a Grade 1 2 mile, a Grade 1 2 mile novice hurdle like that, I think it just was a little bit too hot for him, and he finished down the field. And I think the similar sort of thing happened at Aintree. It was a little bit too quick for him, a little bit too much. But I do think, given a nice summer off, I think he'll fill into his frame. He's a big horse, and I think the fences and definitely a step up in trip is going to suit him down to the ground. I think Timoris is definitely going to be one to keep on side around those UK novice chases, and then we'll lead into the spring festivals and we'll see what sort of shapes up and how he gets on. But yeah, I think Timoris for Nicholls is definitely going to be one that I'll be keeping on side for this season, definitely in novice chases. Lovely. So then my last one for this section, before I move on to my last section, the point-to-point recruits. Like I say, I don't want to keep you too long, but it's just nice to talk through some of these horses that we're looking forward to this coming season. So the last one's going to be a horse called In the Pocket. Now, I know, again, a horse that's done really well throughout last season in his novice hurdle season for JP McManus, Henry de Bromhead trained him. And I do think this guy's going to go chasing. You know, if you go back through his form, he's a 3 mile point-to-point winner. So you know he stays. You know he goes well on soft ground. He beat 3 Car Bragg over 2 mile 4. I know a couple of hurdles were taken out late on, but, you know, he stayed on well, travelled all over them all the way to the end and managed to hold on. I know it was only a neck, but I just think it showed what sort of thing this lad could do going forward. And he ran at the Dublin Racing Festival. Now, he ran in the race that High Definition and Facile Vega bombed off in. And I thought he did well too. It was sort of out the rear, held up and finished on for, I think it was 4th. It came. So it wasn't a bad run. And I don't think the 2 mile trip suits him at all, even though it was a mad pace and he could stay on. I just don't think it suited him either, to be honest. And I think a lot of other people thought the Ballymore was on the cards for him. I know he was touted for it quite highly. And I think he didn't go too short, but he was being backed in for it. But then they decided to go for the Supreme novice hurdle at the festival. And I thought that was a bit of wasn't too sure about that one, to be honest. And like I say, it didn't quite work out. And again, but then it goes to Aintree over 2 mile, a lot softer ground that day. And they did go off quite a good pace, and it just set it up for him really. And Blackmore was able to deliver him quite late. I think she even dropped the whip, and he managed to stay on really well to win that race. And I do think that they're going to take him chasing. I think he'll be over a more intermediate trip, sustained trip. So I've marked the Turners and the Brown Advisory there. I don't think he's an Arkle horse personally, but obviously you never know. But I do think over an intermediate trip and those staying trips, I think it's going to see a little bit more improvement come out of him. Soft ground, novice chasing. So yeah, I think that's where the route that in the pocket's going to go. So I'm going to again keep him on side. I did back him at a good price for the Ballymore. So when he switched, I was a bit gutted, but you know, it's one of those games. It swings around about for Cheltenham, but I do think this guy's going to pick up some nice races going forward as we build up through the season. Right, so that's it for the novice chasers. So what I'm going to do now is to finish us off, I'm going to throw out here 2 point-to-point recruits that I have had a little look at. We obviously had a couple last week on the episode 1, and I'm going to try and describe these as best I can, even though I've written my notes, so I'm a little bit like, do I look at my notes? Do I try not to? But I have to sometimes. And the first one I'm going to go for is one for Ben Pauling. Well, Ben Pauling's picked him up, Flash in the Park. It's a horse that'll walk in the park. These both are, believe it or not. And this guy got sold at the Tingle Creek sales back in December 22 for a whopping 350k. And if you go back and watch the point-to-point run, it was just a non-contest really. He's gone off. He's travelled all over him all the way. He's gone on and won by 20 lengths, and he's actually won 9 seconds faster than the average on that day as well. So you know this guy is going to have a big future. We hope. Going forward, and you know, to do what he did that day in a point-to-point just shows the level of sort of professionalism within the horse. I think he's got a real good amount of talent, and I think if they can harness that talent going forward, whether they go over bumpers early or send him straight over hurdles, I don't know. But he's a 5-year-old, so could potentially go over hurdles straight away, or maybe run him in a bumper early and then decide what to do. But I do think we'll get a glimpse of him very soon, and he's related to. He's from a well-related family as well, so you know there's potential there to definitely reach the top level. So quite like Flash in the Park. And the second one, again from by Walk in the Park, is another one that's gone for even more money. This time it went to Nichols. This one was done at was sold at Punchestown Goffs April sales. Went for €450,000, which is obviously massive. And he's so well bred if you go through it, and he's coming from a strong staying family. He's out of a 3-time hurdles winner. It was actually a full sister to the staying chaser Kimberlite Candy. Now we know how well Kimberlite Candy's gone on to be sort of the Grand National Star races. So I think this guy could have bags of potential, and it's a lot of money for Nichols to go and spend. Obviously, he really wanted him, so this could be one we really like. And if you go back again and watch the race, it's an impressive performance. You know, he's jumped really well. He's plenty of running jumped the last with plenty in the tank left. So plenty left in the tank, and he's just one going away in the end. And he just looks like a big assertive horse, bags of potential going forward. It maybe will. Obviously, it's Nichols, so it could be a long-term prospect. You know, will he do much over hurdles, bumpers? Probably not too much. Obviously, he might win some low-level stuff as they build him up. But again, it's like the likes of Hamiza Lane, Brave Man's Game. Tomorrow, these type of horses, they'll do what they can over hurdles, but obviously they're bought to be chasers down the line. So it's going to be super exciting to see how Histrionic gets on for Nichols. But yeah, so they're the 2 point-to-point recruits for this week. I hope I did all right with my notes there. Fingers crossed I did. So yes, that's it for today's episode. So I'll just bob this up while I finish off. So yeah, today's episode, obviously episode 2. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're going to get these in the trackers and see how they get on in the new season. And I hope you've obviously enjoyed the series so far. And like I said at the beginning, you know, I'm just going to keep putting my opinions out there. These are the horses I'm excited for. These are the horses I like to talk about, and I'm looking forward to seeing over their respective divisions. So fingers crossed it can be profitable. But the main thing is we enjoy the season and we enjoy watching the racing. Like I say, my book, the Jumpers to Follow book, has every single horse that I'm going through all there lined out with big descriptions, loads of detail. So if you would like that, please do give me a message on Twitter or on YouTube, and I will send you over a copy. All I ask for is a small donation for Hull for Heroes, which again is a veterans charity doing amazing work. So please do find the time to donate. And even if you don't want a copy, just donate and go help them out. It could be a £5 or whatever you want. But yeah, thank you for all those that have donated so far. Like I say, we're well over £100 so far. So fingers crossed that can keep going up. And I'm hoping to collect all the money up. And Chepstow Week, big kickoff. We're going to donate that money. So fingers crossed it will go really well. So yeah, that's me. I'm James. Follow me on Twitter at Woodsy92 and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget. And hopefully we'll have good seasons. Yeah, thank you for listening. And goodbye. See you next time.